Hey guys, today on my channel I'm doing a really fun drawing challenge where I use 100 Crayola markers, all different colors, to create one single drawing. Before we get into this video, I just want to let you guys know if you're not up to date with my recent uploads, I did just post the April bullet journal spread and I did a blindfolded drawing challenge, which was a lot of fun. I'll link all my recent videos in the description box below and in the iCard up there so you guys can see them after this video. And whether or not you are new here, I want you all to know that I'm going to be posting Sunday, Tuesday, and Friday as my new upload schedule now, so expect 3 videos a week every single week. Alright, I'll stop this intro now so we can get on into the drawing. I got this pack of 100 Crayola Super Tips markers for about $12 from Walmart. And yes, I am going to use every single color in the drawing that you see me create in this video. First things first, to make this easier on myself, I am going to have to spend a little bit of time labeling every single marker and numbering them 1 through 100. Lucky you guys, you don't have to see this process because it was a bit tedious, but it was well worth it. I needed to be organized, and it really helps when you do get a brand new pack of markers, at least for me, to chart out all of the color swatches for all future artwork pieces. This is the original line work here. It's just a simple sketch that I did. You can see though that I have multiple images. I scanned this and printed out a copy, so I am going to use one of those duplicates for this video. And you can also see that I have charted the numbers 1 through 100. Every time I do use the color on this drawing, I'm going to mark it off so you guys can see. I mean, I do every one at the beginning and then I kind of phase it out a little bit and just show you in groups how many colors I did, but trust me, I did use all of them. My game plan for this was to start off with the lightest colors first, because with markers, you're not able to put light colors over dark colors like you can with colored pencils to a certain extent and acrylic paint. This is the easiest way for me personally, so the first thing I'm doing here, you can see I'm filling in the mermaid's tail. And normally, I would probably just do this with 1 or 2 of the light greens, but since I'm trying to challenge myself to use every single color, I am going in with 5 different greens and making a sort of gradient, but it's going kind of back and forth. If you can see what I'm doing here, I'm going from light to dark and then dark to light. Now I'm going to take a step away from the tail and move on to the hair, and for the hair I am again starting with the lightest brown, or one of the lightest browns that I have, kind of like a mahogany reddish caramel type brown. If you guys haven't worked on hair before, the easiest way that I can explain this for beginners is to start at the base and work all the way down to the tip without lifting up your marker. You want to imagine the hair extending all the way from the root to the tip, and you want it to look like a single strand each time. There are exceptions to this and different ways to do it and kind of fake that look, but this is just the easiest way for me since I haven't done drawings of hair in a very, very long time, so I'm kind of retraining myself to get it looking okay. I'm trying to build up the color and the texture 1 shade of brown at a time. Moving on now to the coral, I'm going to use some orangey reddish pink tones. And this is pretty self-explanatory. I'm just using as many of those tones as I can together to kind of make them look like they flow and are as seamless as possible, even though there are quite a few different shades in there. And then with the darker tones, I'm creating shadows, so it looks a little bit more 3-dimensional. And you can also build texture as well, like I did with the dots. But in a normal drawing, if you're not trying to use 100 different markers, you can just use the same color and build that up a little bit each time if you let the layers dry in between. Then I decided to move over to this jellyfish, and I am making him all different types of purples and fuchsias. Again, you can see a common theme here. I start out with the lightest colors, then I move on to the mid-tones and the darker ones to create shadows and outlines. By the way, if you enjoy my art videos and you never want to miss any of the upcoming ones on my channel, please subscribe and turn bell notifications on. I also post DIYs, crafty videos, and I'm going to have an entire moving series coming up very soon. And since I am trying to use a bunch of different purples here, I decided to kind of alternate the pattern of these, I don't know what these are, tentacles, stingers on a jellyfish. So you can see I'm knocking out a lot of the purples and pinks, and I did draw in another tiny little coral here, and I colored that in with lighter pinks and reds, as you can see. Now I am moving on to the rock formation that she's sitting on. I decided to make the one underneath her tail a lighter spectrum of grays than the one at the very bottom of the page. For this I tried to build shadows, and I'm very happy that a few months back I did some mountain doodles. I had no clue I was going to be drawing an ocean scene or rocks for this video, but if you guys do want to practice, definitely try looking up mountain doodles, and looking at reference photos of other people's drawings and doodles will definitely help you decide where to put the texture and the shading in your rocks. So this top one is more of a warm tone, and then the bottom one has more cool blue tone grays. And here I tried to put in the darkest grays that I possibly could, and I wasn't completely happy with the way that the bottom one turned out, especially on the right hand side, but I'm leaving that alone for now and moving on to the water. This is probably my absolute favorite color out of the entire pack. It's a beautiful minty turquoise light blue. Oh my gosh, it is so gorgeous. So Crayola markers, it's no secret, they do get a bit streaky when you try and color in really large areas. You can see that with the rock at the bottom on the right hand side. It definitely worked in my favor for the lighter rock, but here with the water I decided to try and make textures and do flowy lines. So basically the same concept as the hair. I'm just putting lines that are overlapping and trying to make them a little bit wavy at the same time. And then I specifically added in this fish over here because I needed a way to use my oranges and yellow tones, and I didn't really have another idea for that. But he turned out extra cute, so I am happy he's a part of this drawing. He was meant to be here. He just kind of swam in and, you know, was like, hey, I'm here and you need to color me. I did the same exact thing with the textured water around the fish and the jellyfish. So this side does look a little bit different than the other. The lines are closer together, smaller gaps, and it's not as wavy, it's more straight across. It kind of does still work because with water there's going to be different currents going different directions, and fish are swimming in opposite ways, so I think it makes sense that not all the water looks like it's going the exact same way. Here's a random question I thought would be fun, since all the Disney brackets are currently going around that ask what your favorite Disney or Pixar movie is, and it kind of makes you pin them against each other and battle it out to the end. So that's my question. What's your absolute favorite Disney or Pixar movie? Comment down below. Now what's going on is I had to have a way to use all the blues, all the midtones, all the darker shades. I didn't know really what else to do with them, and some of you may think that this is something that doesn't really flow with the image and kind of looks like its own thing, but I tried to incorporate it the best that I possibly could. I'm sure that there's more that I could go back and do later on to try and bring more of like a mid-range blue down into that light. So I decided to create kind of Zentangle mandala doodles, something I have a lot of experience doing and I'm really comfortable with. Something that's really important to note with these markers is when you are layering colors on top of one another, it works a lot better if you wait for the bottom layer of ink to dry completely, because otherwise if you do put wet marker on wet marker, it could bleed and fade and blend into one another, and not in a good way, not a good type of blending, more of like a bleedy, the colors are leaking into one another. And now I'm moving on to using all the mid-tone and dark greens. For this, I thought it would be perfect to add texture to the mermaid's tail. So here I'm creating, I guess, scales, and I'm doing this with multiple greens. By the way, here's what my workspace looks like if you're curious. I basically have all my color families grouped together. In the middle of my desk I have them all staggered, and I have heavy items around them so they don't roll around. Plus, I don't want my cat to knock them off in the middle of the night. So that's how I have my workstation set up, and I think it worked really well for me and kept me organized. Anyway, back to the drawing. I am filling in some of these scales with different greens and leaving some of them with just that undertone that I did at the very beginning of the drawing. I'm adding more texture to the very base, and then I'm getting rid of that white by putting the lightest green all over, and I did color in that ruffly part at the top as well. Now let's move on to the skin. So for this I used one of the lightest browns that was available. There really isn't much of a peachy range. I decided just to outline with the marker and put some very small shadows, but then I decided to color on a little plastic lid and take a paintbrush, and I'm going to basically turn this into watercolor paint like I did with my one marker challenge with the Copics, but for that I had to use alcohol because they're alcohol based. So with Crayolas, obviously you use water to do this, and you want to be really careful that you only do a little bit at a time and do not get the brush too wet, or else you could rip the paper and make it all nasty. Let's move on to her top, which is some type of bikini or shell bra top. I did fix that part of her hair where it kind of looked like she had two heads. I don't know, that was bothering me. I don't know if it bothered any of you guys as well. And I tried to get rid of as many of those orangey tones as possible and just kind of hide them a little bit more and blend them in with the rest of her hair. Some of the final steps, I went in and did the little wispy guys on the jellyfish. And my final colors here, you will see me mark off, are these grayish blues that I used on the shells. I was debating and going back and forth on which colors I should make the shells here, but I hope I made the right decision. This is what the completed piece turned out like, and I am so happy with it. I think that I could definitely spend at least another hour going in with some shading and possibly a little bit of pattern work in the light blue water. Let me know what you guys think. Maybe I'll color this image in a few more times in the future and make one with red hair and do one with Copic markers. I don't know. Be sure to check out some of my other drawing videos and most recent uploads. I'm going to link them in the iCard above as well as the description box below. If you have any suggestions for videos that I should post in the upcoming weeks, let me know in the comment section below. I hope you guys have a great rest of the day. Bye!